Hello, I'm Jim St.John from Newport, Arkansas. Maybe you've seen some of my videos. They're nothing special. I just enjoy doing it. And at my age and having quadruple bypass already and a bad heart, I want to leave something for my granddaughters to look back at, whether it's good or bad. In addition to playing music for a hobby, I'm also an amateur ham radio operator. If you watch the videos, you've seen my call sign on the license plate of my car. I've got all old, I guess it could be considered antique. Most people call it boat anchor. It's all tube type stuff. If you turn all this stuff on a hot day like today, the air conditioner won't keep the room cool. I've got first radio I started out with was Swan 350 right there. I bought from a friend of mine in California that I grew up with out at the big town of Oiltrough, Arkansas. Bud Robertson, he's a ham, blind by the way, taught me my first guitar chords back in 1959, and he got me interested in ham. Well, I was interested in ham radio all my life, but I didn't think I could ever get a license because of the code requirements, but I found out that wasn't too difficult. Now you don't even have to have a code test to get a ham license. I started out with that Swan 350 there that I bought from him in California. Then I think the next one I acquired was this Swan 700 CX, which also came from Bud. In a state of terrible disrepair. I kept it here 2 or 3 years, worked on it a little at a time, and finally got it back to going. And then a guy that I worked with at the phone company, or at least he worked for the phone company also, he was from the southern part of Arkansas, but he was up and he had a ham license. He had this old Swan 350 here and power supply. He wanted, I think, $100 for it, for a junker, and I was going to use it for spare parts. And, after about 2 hours, I had the thing on the air, so now I've got that one. Then another one Bud gave me, was in a sad state of repair, was this Swan 500C, and I got it to going. I was going to use it for parts, but now I've got 4 working models. Let's see, I got the power supply that I don't think you can see in this, but there's a power supply that looks almost like this one, or looks just like that one, just got a different number on the front of it. That came from Bud, and I've got in a repeater cabinet over here that you can't see in the video, there's a home-built power supply that I built about 30 years ago, and still using it. I've got a 2-meter radio over here you can't see in the video either. Got all kinds of test equipment in this room. The room is kind of shabby, but I don't have a wife to complain. And as someone once said, aesthetic beauty, while important, is second to functionality, which means no matter how it looks, as long as it works. Well, I enjoy my equipment. I don't operate very often anymore, but when I did, I enjoyed it. And this device right here is an antenna matching network that I built. And I have several items in here, the power supply, and I've got a motor-driven power stat, or variac as some call them, over here that runs off of 220. And I'm building an amplifier at the time. Stay quite busy. It's a good thing I retired from AT&T, which I started out with Southwestern Bell Telephone. Later changed its name to SBC, Southwestern Bell Corporation, as most corporations are doing now. They're shortening the things to acronyms and what have you. But about a year or 2 before I retired, our CEO at the time, Ed Whitaker Jr. of Southwestern Bell, or SBC, acquired what was left of AT&T, and decided, since it was a globally recognized name, that SBC would change its name to AT&T. And many people think AT&T bought SBC, but it was quite the other way around. The irony of the whole thing is that when I went to work for Southwestern Bell Telephone Company, my check said Southwestern Bell Telephone, totally owned subsidiary of American Telephone and Telegraph, AT&T. When I retired, my paycheck said AT&T, a totally owned subsidiary of SBC. Well, that was really a joke, and didn't it? Just said AT&T on it, but went full circle, and I think now it's almost a monopoly again, AT&T. But I put in 33 and a half years there, retired on August the 1st of 2007, and I don't know how I ever had time to go to work. I stay busy constantly. Take a few naps during the day too, but I was a central office technician. That wasn't my title. ComTech was my final title. Let's see, I started out as a cable repairman for 6 months in Batesville, Arkansas, and then a year as a cable splasher in Newport, Arkansas. Then the rest of my 33 and a half years was spent, that is to say 32 years was spent in the central office in Newport, with the exception of the times they sent me to school in Dallas, Washington, D.C., Topeka, Kansas, Houston, Texas, just everywhere. But that's just a little bit about me. I'd probably go on and on. I got a first-class phone license, and by taking a correspondence course with Cleveland Institute of Electronics, and therefore I actually knew something about electronics when I got the license. When I went to work for the company, I found out they sent people to quickie schools, memory schools, to learn the answers to tests and get their license. They didn't know a thing about radio when they got out, but I had fun getting the license. And before I went to work for the phone company, I was a crop duster pilot. I think I did that for about 5 years. I worked in factory, I worked in a NAPA auto parts store, done a little bit of everything. Been a well-rounded life and career. And I'll shut up now. Thank you.